the other person, again, is Mark Hamill, who plays Arthur Goodwin Pym, who is the family's attorney, fixer, hitman, assassin. In the show, they give him a nickname. They call him the Pym Reaper for his just ruthlessness and his efficiency, and always doing his best to get the job done. And I guess his name comes from the novel of the narrative of Arthur Goodwin Pym of Nantucket, which they then also use for the character's backstory. And this is such a different performance from Mark Hamill. I think we often, I mean, of course, he's famous for playing Luke Skywalker, like one of the greatest heroes of all time in genre fiction. And he also, played the Joker, voiced the Joker for over, 30 years, as we were just talking about beforehand.
Listen, Boopsy, even though you never call and never write, I still got a soft spot for you.
Let's go ahead and move on to my review tonight for The Fall of the House of Usher. Now, I have not hid my appreciation and love of Mike Flanagan as a creator for a long time, for as long as I've been, watching his movies and TV shows. At this point, for over a decade, I think his contributions to horror, fantasy, thrillers, and just genre content, across the board has been pretty fantastic for the most part. Whether it be atmospheric survival thrillers like Hush, underrated fantasy films like Dr. Sleep, or emotional horror tales like Midnight Mass, I think Flanagan is one of the best and most underrated creators, writers, and filmmakers working in the entertainment industry today. He has a love of genre content and keeps a very close-knit group of actors together among his, many projects, across his many projects, in film and television and streaming. Along with, some exceptional writing, focus on terrific dialogue, and some truly epic monologues, which he gets some criticism for, but I love his monologues. I love monologuing, chat.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing!
He creates a lot of stuff that appeals to my taste and sensibilities. But I'll admit, I wasn't exactly excited for his most recent series, The Fall of the House of Usher. Instead of it being a period piece and straight adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's original story, he was going to set it in modern day and incorporate various other Poe stories into the narrative itself. Hearing that and seeing the trailers, which honestly, I didn't really care for the trailers all that much. I was turned off. I have to be honest. I was turned off by it, and I didn't end up watching the series when it originally released in, I believe, October of last year, October of 2023. However, I finally had the opportunity to watch the Netflix series last week, and all I gotta say is, wow. Boy, was I wrong about my misgivings and the modern setting. And I'm very happy to be eating a big plate of crow for this review. Or I guess in this case, raven. A big plate of raven. But to give you guys a bit of a background and synopsis for the series itself, corporate tyrants and siblings Roderick and Madeline Usher have built a massive pharmaceutical empire comprised of wealth and power and privilege. But as dark secrets in the past are unearthed, the heirs of the great Usher dynasty start dying one by one in horrific, macabre fashion. As I said before, I'm a big fan of Flanagan when it comes to his presentation of genre content, especially horror and fantasy and writing, particularly with dialogue and monologues. And I'm happy to say that that is all on wonderful display in this series from like the get-go. He, along with other filmmakers like Michael Filmari, I think that's how you say him, Michael Filmari, who directed, half of the episodes of this particular series and also serves as his cinematographer, I believe, have created a absolute love letter to Edgar Allan Poe's work, from his poems and many stories, countless stories, and has layered this dramatic modern day tale of corporate greed with sublime family dysfunction. So much family dysfunction, so much bickering throughout this entire show, and it is fantastic. It is so great. And listen, if you need like a shorthand description to like sell this to somebody, it's like, all right, what if Edgar Allan Poe met Succession? That's how you sell this series to Poe fans, to genre fans, to fans of like a lot of great modern TV shows like Succession, like Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Barry. That's how you do it. This is a gothic horror epic spanning decades from the 1960s all the way to modern days to 2023, meeting multiple generations of this mostly horrible family, seeing their various struggles with each other and their slow, methodical doom that tracks them over the course of the show's 8 episodes. Hour-long 8 episodes, by the way. And they earned that running time. You have a massive cast, a huge cast, and a familiar cast to a degree in this series. Because, Mike Flanagan loves to work with, people that he's worked with before. I like that sense of loyalty he has of his actor. I think they clearly just love working with him. I'd be very curious to interview some of these people and ask, like, you've been like in all these Mike Flanagan projects, and I would not be shocked. I love that man. I just get that sense for like everyone that he's worked with, because they keep showing up, like from Hush all the way to now. It's pretty amazing. And again, despite the large cast, despite how many people are just kind of like weaving throughout this narrative, Flanagan and his collaborators managed to give so many great moments to everyone involved, just every single person within this cast. The series is primarily led by Bruce Greenwood and Zach Gilford, who play Roderick Usher, and Mary McDonnell and Willa Fitzgerald as Madeline Usher. They are the corrupt CEO and COO of the Fortunata pharmaceutical company, and they're also the heads of the Usher family. In terms of Bruce Greenwood's performance, the series kind of starts with him, and he's telling this dark gothic tale of everything that's transpired, what led to the death of all of his children. They tell you at the front, like, oh yeah, all my kids are dead, everyone's dead. It's not great, and he kind of lulls you into that, right? And Carl Lumley kind of serves as the audience avatar to a degree. He's this character I'll talk about more in just a bit, who is this prosecutor has been going after the Usher family for years, and Roderick in particular, because of some bad blood between the two of them. And so he's telling us this story about how it was me. I was the one that had murdered everyone. This is my confession. And this is like one of Bruce Greenwood's best performances. Like Bruce Greenwood's like, anytime it's like, oh yeah, Bruce Greenwood, he's a great actor. We love him. You can pick your project, whether it's live action stuff or animated stuff. I just talked about how I think he's a fantastic Batman. He's a really, really good Batman, chat, like in Batman Under the Red Hood and Young Justice. But in terms of his live action projects, I think this is one of his best. They give this man and the person who plays his young counterpart, Zach Gilford, who was featured as one of the main leads in Midnight Mass. So there you go, more of these actors from past Mike Flanagan projects here, and both of their performances are great. He's telling this story, but we see what he was like. There's this he plays it to a degree, like there's a little bit of an aloofness to it, but then what happens at certain scenes, you can see that kind of like corporate mongrel come out. It's like, oh, this is the guy that's been running this company, and he's a cutthroat. And that occasionally comes out, but clearly we learn something is affecting him and affecting his mental capacity, and they incorporate that quite well, and a lot of great horror imagery too. And so he's not like on his A game, but that's like on purpose. There's something off about him. But we see that tight lip, that scornful, Roderick Usher, played by Bruce Greenwood. But then we see this sensitive, mournful, aloof side of him, which is great. It's a wonderful performance. And Zach Gilford, who is this person who grows into that, we see that happen where he's just like, I just want to, I just want to support my family. I just want to be able to do this. He gets, involved in this, kind of corporate scandal that could, spell disaster for himself and for the company and for his wife and for his child and his sister and all that. And, that we see what happens when it transpires over the course of like all these wonderful flashbacks. And, but then we soon learn like, okay, by the end of those flashbacks, we totally understand like how that character became the Bruce Greenwood, Roderick Usher. And then again for Mary McDonnell, for people that might not know her or recognize her name, she was the co-lead in Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner. She's also been in a number of other great TV shows. She was in Battlestar Galactica. She played, I was like, I've seen you before, and I couldn't place it. She played the president in Battlestar Galactica. That was like one of her big other TV roles. And she's been in some other stuff too. She was in the Scream franchise, so great. And her counterpart, her younger counterpart, is played by Willa Fitzgerald, and she also, I think, does a fantastic job. And she is this cold, analytical woman. She's like, I'm not interested in men and what they have to offer. She's a woman of the thinking of the future, but she's a woman in the corporate world, and that is very difficult. And she's kind of had to shut herself off from human emotion. Again, both the older counterpart and the younger counterpart. It's like, well, that makes sense. They're complete, this natural progression, between the two of them. It's like they're pretty much the same. It just the one just grew a little older, a little more bitter over time. And I really, really loved their performances. That's the thing. Like this is a huge cast of people. The rest of the cast is also very impressive. You have Henry Thomas, who plays Frederick Usher, who is the oldest of Roderick's children. He's the eldest son, the heir to the Fortunato Usher, family and company. And he previously was in Gerald's Game. That's his connection to Mike Flanagan. I think he played the rapist. I think he played the pedophile in Gerald's Game. He's a man that is racked with insecurities throughout this entire show. And like there's this great gag that people always call him Froderick, because it's like his name Frederick is the closest to Roderick, but it's like, you're nothing like our dad at all, and no one like has any respect for him. And so he has so many self-esteem issues, which leads to some really nasty consequences later on. But again, he's just a man that's just racked with insecurities, and is just not in control of himself in any capacity in that regard, and is like emotionally abusive at first, and later on physically abusive. But he gives a great performance in it. You have his sister, Tamerlane Usher, played by Samantha Sloyan, and she's Roderick's eldest daughter. And she's like this aspiring like entrepreneur. She's partnered with this fitness streamer like on Twitch, and she like has this whole project, and like she has her various issues and her sexual issues. Like she's kind of like, I guess her aunt, like Madeline, she's not able to express love like at all, or physical intimacy to like any degree. And so like she even sets up these like little scenarios where she has her husband or her fitness boyfriend like having dinner with these women, like these these sex workers that come in, and she just watches them the whole time. It's like this whole family is just a mess across the board. And that's the first two kids. Those are the first two kids. You have the first of the bastards in this. You have one played by Nia Miller, I believe that's how you're saying her name, and she plays Victorine Usher, and she's the oldest of Roderick's illegitimate children, and she's like this gifted surgeon that is hoping for like this breakthrough for this super experimental and very dangerous heart device that she's been working on with her partner in the show. And they're like experimenting on chimpanzees. And it's like, anytime, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, anytime you see a chimpanzee in a horror film, it's not gonna go well. Just sounds like, oh God, why'd you bring them in? And a lot what they do with her is kind of paying homage to the to like the Telltale Heart, which is pretty cool. Like all these different like episodes are paying an homage to like a specific Edgar Allan Poe story, which I think is cool. And so hers is very much like the Telltale Heart, which I think is pretty awesome. And so, yeah, really love that they ended up doing with her. And again, body horror across the board in all this series. You have Katie Siegel, who plays one of the other bastard kids, the bastard daughter, Camille, and another one of course, Roderick's illegitimate children. And she's like this super sharp-tongued, like public relations head of Fortunato, and she's just constantly obsessed with putting together profiles on people, family members, like rivals, corporate rivals, everything. And she's kind of like if Fox News was a person. That's how I would describe her. That's her whole thing. It's like, yeah, if you combine Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and Laura Ingraham, and they just made a love baby, it would be Camille. and she's a monster. And also great. Raul Coley's in this. And of course, previously worked with Mike Flanagan on Midnight Mass. He was the sheriff in that. He's here. He plays Napoleon Usher, again, one of Roderick's illegitimate children. And he's like this prominent video game developer. Well, not really developer. He's more of a video game publisher. He just kind of gives like a lot of money to video game developers so they can make all the cool video games that he wants. And he's like suffering from like drug addiction. He's taken every drug across the planet, chat, and that causes some serious consequences for him. But he also provides a lot of humor. Like I know I'm kind of focusing on the macabre and saying how this is so graphic and this is so morbid, but Mike Flanagan, across all of his projects, he does layer in a lot of great humor and a lot of great jokes. And he has a number of comedic actors in this and a lot of people that can handle comedic material. And Raul Coley is a natural when it comes to that. He's able to handle the horror stuff, the drama stuff, and obviously the comedic stuff quite well. And they set up some really cool situations with him throughout the show. And then the last of the Usher children, you have Prospero or Perry Usher, and he's like the youngest of Roderick's illegitimate, bastard children, who is just a hedonist through and through. He just lives this opulent, hedonistic lifestyle, and he's just like, listen, I don't want to live long. I just want to party hard. That's what it is. And so he's indulging in countless drugs, countless sex. He has his own grand ideas of what he wants to do. He wants to open all these various, nightclubs and, have his, own sense of, all these characters have their own sense of entitlement. But for him, he's like, this is what, kind of opens up. It's like, this is my plan, Dad. I want to be able to do this. Want to, create this nightclub, and, he struggles with that in the first couple episodes. And then, but honestly, you also have two other great supporting performances that they're not members of the family. One serves the family, but the other one is not. And the two, and they give some of the best performances in the entire show. Carl Lumley and Mark Hamill. And Carl Lumley, he plays this prosecutor. He's an assistant United States attorney, and his name is August Dupin, who just wants to, he's been trying for years to bring the Ushers to justice. And there's a younger version of his character played by Malcolm Goodwin who does an excellent job. And like literally the series kind of opens up with him and Roderick and their interactions. He kind of serves as the audience avatar, but he's not just that. He gets to do actually a lot in this show too. And his chemistry with Bruce Greenwood in a lot of those scenes, which kind of provides like a sense of structure in between the episodes, is amazing. He does such a great job. And of course, Carl Lumley previously worked with Mike Flanagan in things like Dr. Sleep. He filled in for obviously Scatman Crothers, who played the head cook for the Overlook Hotel, whose name I'm forgetting at the top of my head.
Oh, Dick.
But he played that character. He served in place of Scatman Crothers. And then the other person again is Mark Hamill, who plays Arthur Goodwin Pym, who is the family's attorney, fixer, hitman, assassin. In the show, they give him a nickname. They call him the Pym Reaper, for his just ruthlessness and his efficiency, and always doing his best to get the job done. And I guess his his name comes from the novel of the narrative of Arthur Goodwin Pym of Nantucket, which they then also used for the character's backstory. And this is such a different performance from Mark Hamill. I think we often, I mean, of course, he's famous for playing Luke Skywalker, like one of the greatest heroes of all time in genre fiction. And he also, played the Joker, voiced the Joker for over, 30 years, as we were just talking about beforehand.
Listen, Boopsy, even though you never call and never write, I still got a soft spot for you.
This was like such a different role for him, and they make Mark Hamill. They walk this great line of they make him terrifying and just how brutal and efficient he is, almost like a ghoul in a way too. Just in how he's like, listen, yeah, something horrible just happened. I don't care. This is what you got to say. All right, you got to toe the line. All right, you're very sad about your brother or your sister or your daughter or your son that died, but you got to say this or there's going to be trouble. And you don't want trouble. And he delivers that. But then there's like also this mystery in his past to him. But you have these like certain characters that have this like, despite maybe not liking him, they have this obvious begrudging respect for him because he's really good at his job. And so I was very impressed with Mark Hamill and Carl Lumbly as two of the other members outside of the Usher family. But the absolute standout of this series, the one who is chewing scenery and just captivates, I think really anyone, certainly me, just captivated me when she's on screen, is Carla Gugino, who plays the Raven, Death, Hell, the Devil. She's this mysterious woman, at least she presents herself this way, as this mysterious woman from the Usher twins' past, who takes various forms throughout the show, obviously as a Raven, numerous times, and she subjects the Ushers and the Usher children to horrific deaths. Horrifying deaths. Like, that's the thing. The deaths and the violence in this show are very disturbing and are absolutely horrific in some cases. Like, one of the first kills they set up, I'll say it, I don't want to spoil it, because if you haven't seen this show, I recommend it. Like, right now, I think you guys can obviously tell I'm a pretty goddamn big fan. But if going in, if you have problems with body horror, if you have problems with people melting into goop, then this might be a bit of a rough watch for you, chat. Like, one of the first kills involves a lot of acid, and it was like, oh my God. And it stayed with me for a while. And I was like, wow. I mean, they have some other great deaths in these episodes. Believe me, they do. Some really disturbing body horror and crazy sequences. And a lot of it paying homage and respect to Edgar Allan Poe's work, incorporating the deaths of certain characters from different short stories that he did and poems, of course. But there's one that involves acid. I was like, fuck that. I was like, oh no, the melting. That's all I'll say. It's the melting, and other characters. All I'll say is other characters suffer as well, and it's honestly it's quite horrific, and also the production design is fantastic, and in its own way pays respect to the 18th century of Edgar Allan Poe and in his works in a variety of ways, but we also go from the 60s, and we're in the 70s, and then in modern day, and there's just a lot of great attention to detail in the aesthetics, like in the apartment of Roderick, Usher, when he has it with his wife, Annabelle, his first wife, Annabelle, raising their kids. Like, they just nailed the look of that. To then, like, the opulent mansion of the Ushers, like, it has all this beautiful architecture, but it just feels cold because the family is cold and rigid and cruel, and that's reflected into the way the mansion looks. And then we go to the individual apartments of each Usher child, whether it be the natural trueborn or the bastards, and they all have their like specific aesthetics and colors, so you get a sense, even again, because there's a lot. We're jumping from so many characters one by one throughout this show, and they do a great job of letting you know, like, all right, now we're here because of the big major aesthetic change, and I like that. So you don't feel lost, like, okay, where are we now? Are we in the house again? So that was very, very smart on their part. Now, as much as I've been praising the series, and I have, I do have one big criticism. There are a few episodes where they use CGI for a number of scenes, and it sometimes looks pretty fake. And I wish, I don't know, I feel like, they could just change some of these scenes altogether, or just kind of shot them in a different way. Especially, there's this one sequence involving a black cat, this CGI black cat, and like the episode kind of ends on this little CGI sequence. I'm like, that didn't look good. that really did not look good. It looked super fake. And I don't know, it just either change it up or use practical effects. They use a lot of practical effects in this too. They really do. They absolutely do. But I think some parts could have been touched up a bit or rendered a different way, or just, I don't know, shot completely differently. But again, my cons of the CGI are few and far between. There's so much great stuff in this show, and thank you, Alec. Yeah, the sound design. The sound design is horrific. It's great. The music, I think, is very good. The music throughout the show, loved how they handled that. And the Newton brothers are the composers for the series, and love what they were able to come up with. But yeah, across the board, I really enjoyed this show from the filmmaking, the directing, the cinematography, the writing, of course. That's what really holds this all together. The amazing performances of so many of this huge, there's some people I didn't even mention in the cast, but so many people do a wonderful job in this show. Kayleigh Curran, let me give a huge shout out to Kayleigh. I got Wikipedia up because there's so many characters. I'm like, okay, I gotta keep track of everybody. She plays Lenore Usher, and Kayleigh Curran, she previously worked with Mike Flanagan, at least from my knowledge, in Dr. Sleep. She played the character of Abra Stone in that, which you guys know I love Dr. Sleep. It was one of my favorite movies of 2019. And she's like the only good Usher in terms of, she's like the granddaughter of Roderick, and she's the daughter of Frederick. And she is just so sweet. And she's like a palate cleanser because you need her in the show. She's a very important part of the show because you spend so much time with these people, and some are worse than others, but all of them have a variety of issues. And she's like the one kind person other than like Carl Lumley, of course, or maybe Raul Coley's boyfriend, but she's like the one. And so throughout the entire show, I think even the first episode, like Bruce Greenwood's character of Roderick Usher literally says she's the best of us. She's the absolute best of us. And I really like what they do with her, and she has a wonderful final scene in the series. But yeah, no, so much of the cast is great. From Bruce Greenwood to Mary McDonnell, and especially, but really it is Carla Gugino who just absolutely deserves as much credit as you can give her. She's so perfect as the Raven, as Death, as Satan, as the Devil, whatever you want to call her. She does a great job, and I ended up really loving the show. Again, some qualms about the CGI, but if you want to watch a dark gothic horror thriller that pays, and you're a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan and you like period pieces too that span from the 60s to 70s to modern day, I highly recommend The Fall of the House of Usher. It's great, and it just makes me excited to see more of Mike Flanagan's projects. I feel like he should be a bigger name. I've liked most of what he's done so far, and and I just love, I just really love his work. But what about you guys? I know this show came out, last year, in October 2023. Finally had the chance to watch it. What did you guys think? Did you guys have the opportunity to check out the show? Are you a fan of Edgar Allan Poe? Are you a fan of Mike Flanagan? Please let me know.
5 minutes later.
I've seen this show 3 times. I love it. It's my favorite Mike Flanagan project. It's really good. I have to think about what my favorite ultimate Mike Flanagan project is. That'd be a good list to come up with, because I love Hush. I love Dr. Sleep. I like his Ouija movie. That Ouija prequel he did was pretty goddamn good. That's pretty good too. God, I'm trying to think. Oops, didn't mean to open that up. Dr. Sleep, obviously. Midnight Mass. I love Midnight Mass. I like the first Haunting of Hill House quite a bit. I want to watch that other show that he did, that other Netflix series. I'm going to check that out. Let's see here. Ace Rock, I need to watch. You should check it out, Ace Rock. I think you love it. Yeah, Dick Halloran. Dick Halloran. That's right. That's right. That's who Carl Lumley. I always forget the character's name. Dick. Sound design is great. Agreed. Hollywood bad boy Raul Coley. Is he a bad boy? Person, man, you watch Man and Web? Bleh, didn't like it. Not a fan. I understand, man. I get it. I've been on my list for a while to watch, but I haven't gotten to it. I recommend it. Yeah, I think you like it a lot, Ace Rock. I love the series and Dr. Sleep. Honestly, I like it slightly more than The Shining. No, I understand. You know, what I love about that movie is that it pays homage to Kubrick's Shining, but also obviously the Stephen King book, and also obviously Dr. Sleep book. He does a lot of great stuff. I've yet to watch a single one of his Netflix shows, and I hate myself. Oh man, Chris, you should check it out, man. You should really check out his stuff. You know, this might be a good entry point, honestly. You know, it might be his best, to be perfectly honest. And and again, I say like if you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan, you'll love it. But even if you're not, it still works pretty well, in my opinion. I think you like it just for the writing and the characters alone, the performances. There's some great performances in this. Very, very cool. Humving's fan of Mike here. Love the show. The first kill, yeah, that first kill, man, that messed me up. I was like, Jesus. Like, there's some other like disturbing kills in it. But nothing measured up to that one. That was like, oh my God. And the sound design for that, yeah. Just thinking about it, it's like, nope. Oh man. Let's see here. I got Fun Sir. I'll call you for Funhouse editor and huge Star Wars fan. Got Mark Hamill do a video for Jacob. Here it is. Oh, there you go. Check that out, Jeff. Let me see.
Jacob, it's Mark Hamill here. After working with Rahul and
let me see. Let me play. I'll play this. Mark Hamill. He looks like his character from the House of Usher. I wonder if he did this on purpose. Hold on. I gotta move this around. Give me a second. I'm gonna read the rest of your comments. I just want to see this. But he looks like Arthur Pym.
Jacob, it's Mark
Here we go.
Hamill here. After working with Rahul and hearing his stories, I'm convinced you're really a truly awful person, and I hate you.
Oh no!
I know what the problem is, Patrick.
Okay. Oh no, Mark Hamill, no!
Turn your chair down.
Really awful person. I hate you. He's good. He's really goddamn good in the show.